Levi boy. Yeah. And we have a Lily and a Penny. Oh, you want to say hi, Lil? Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're cute.
Yeah, there's Kaylee.
And Kaylee back there laying.
You know where Ellie is?
Yeah, she's over by the other crew members. And if the dogs would have got out of my way, here's an owl. Okay, don't push the foam, dogs. Bad choice to sit. So, what are you doing right now?
So, here we are. And we're carving the side of the building here. This is all concrete that we're carving. Makes it interesting when you're doing this is you've got to look for variety. You've got to look for ways of making it not all look the same, and you've got to pay enough attention to the details, because if one person carves one board and someone else carves a different board, they absolutely look different. So you always have to go back and check. Now, I've been doing all of this carving so far, but soon here others are going to have to join in with me so we can keep up with it. So here's the trick. When you're carving wood like this, there's a mistake that people make. A newbie especially. So this is the next board that I'm working on right here, okay? And what a newbie will do is they'll try to like control, and they're really controlling the line, or they'll go like this. And when you do that, you don't get this natural feel. Instead, it's just about long strokes. So you just got to keep it going the whole way. And what'll happen is it'll peel out more in some places, less in others. You can go back over it several times, depending on how deep you want them to be. But this is really the key to carving good wood, is long strokes. Now I can't reach up there, so I'm going to have to continue up that afterwards. But I try from top to bottom as much as I possibly can. Now we're real wet down here because there's no sun, so this is going to take a little while later. I'll have to mirror up to that. You know, I'll have to bring it up from the bottom and meet them together. So you can do that. The challenge with that is now it all looks the same again. So this is when we start adding, instead of this direction, we turn the trowel this direction. You can clearly see the difference in the line. So you can see when I'm digging, or if I turn it, you can see that little narrow line. And that's where you get all this nice variety. Then, to give it even a little different look, you pull up on it a little bit, and you get sort of this in-between where it's parallel at some point, and then it turns at some point, then it's parallel, then it turns. And what it does is it peels the concrete away a little bit different. So then beyond that, we always try to make sure that the in-between board is deep enough so that when we color them, if we want to color the boards differently, we can, but this nice dark line in between gives us a nice distinction. So the next thing would be, all right, so let's just go ahead and draw some lines in. Let's get some of these lines in. And in our case, especially here, we're going from really dry stuff. It's pretty dry up here to pretty wet down low. So I've just got to lighten up on it quite a bit. And I don't care if it peels out like this a little bit, because that'll just give us something interesting. So to show you what it looks like, this is just like the first carve. Take all those little boogers off of there so you can see. And now we're going to want to give it some character, give it a little bit more. And there's several different ways. Sometimes the board splits on the edge, and if it does, you can kind of just follow up a split. So now, just by doing that, we've given this some definition. We can also peck it a little bit, as if the wood's been, over the year, chipped and pecked and by birds and insects. Gives it some texture that's fun to paint. The other thing we can do is we can do little cornholes, as if like a woodpecker had gotten into the wood, and that'll give it a little different look. You can see the holes there, the peck marks. You can also see where we just chip into the wood some. And there's no right or wrong to this. Nature does what it does, and that's why you just kind of have to let your hands do it as well. And the first time you do this, it's all these, and people are trying to go like this and then wonder why it doesn't work. Well, that's not very natural. These lines like that are not very natural. But if someone does that, you can always go right back over them and kind of blend those right together. And really, the more of these that you do in varying widths, the more interesting and the more detailed the carving becomes. And then the painting really brings all of that stuff out. So as you look across the boards, I'm trying to do at least a little bit on each one of them. Some we keep pretty simple, but some we try to get a little more technical, a little bit more detail. Because again, from a distance, you're not going to see that fine detail, but the color will bring it out a little bit. And so when someone's up close to this and they swim up to this, we want it to have a really interesting look. From a distance, most of these fine details will disappear. You'll see all of this, these deep carvings, but all these really fine carvings, once you step back 10 and 15 feet, 20 feet, 30, 40, 50 feet, you won't see those anymore. So we do those because this is interactive. This is the wall. People are going to swim in here, so we want it to have the feel all the way through. And we could kind of phone it in and not do all the extra detail, but I think just in general, the project looks better when all those details are done. Whether someone ever notices or not, it doesn't really matter. As far as I'm concerned, I know that they're there. I know that we took the extra time to make sure that it's going to be suitable and acceptable for what we think it needs to be. So that's carving. You can see a little more detail. We fade out into the detail there because when I go up from there and I carve down, then I'll get these details from up high, and that way they blend together. If I go all the way detail to here and then I start from here to there, there'll be a noticeable transition. Now maybe, again, most people won't notice it, but I'll certainly know it's there. So instead, I kind of slow the detail down. I'll continue all the way up, and then we'll do all the fine detail down to here, and that way it'll look like one continual board. So just another little trick when you're doing something like this. And old wood is kind of fun to carve because it allows you to just play and you can't make mistakes. Of course, carving is that way anyway. Is when you try to overthink it too much, that's when inevitably it's going to look too cartoony or too overdone. And that's one thing, we don't do a lot of really heavy carving. We try to keep it more simple and let the composition of the whole palette work. And that's something that oftentimes, when you're so worried about this one spot right here, or that one spot over there, or that next item over there, if you only concentrate from this far and you look at it this far, that's really important. But if you step back, which is how most people view, they're viewing the composition. How does this part work with that part, work with the other part? And so I'm always conscious and cognizant of how is this going to work with the next texture, with the next material beyond. So it goes to composition. And I think what I've seen over the years, a lot of people doing really cool things, they have great technical skills. And there are some guys that are just amazingly technical at carving rock, at carving wood, at carving whatever, but they have no composition skills. So they put this great feature in a spot that doesn't make any sense. So if you look at it from a technical standpoint, it's really beautiful, but it doesn't work with the composition of everything else. And that kind of goes to the pile of waterfall, boulder, rocks just plopped on the side of a pool with nothing else around it. You lose the composition. So I think composition is more important than technical skills. We don't have to be as technically skilled at this if we have great composition. And as this project finishes up, you'll be able to go from anywhere in the yard and there'll be really interesting things to look at and the composition will work together. So for that matter, it's just important to pay attention to composition. Here comes the homeowners and all the dogs are going crazy. Set, just stay, you're okay. You're okay. So anyway, that's carving tip 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the day. And I'll let Kaylee go on about showing the rest of the what's going on out here.
Awesome. I will come and show you guys the side that Al already carved. You can see all the detail work in there. And right here, this opening that isn't carved is going to be like a little window with in the background. You can see all of his details, the knots, oh, he separated some boards so they're not all full boards. We also have a slate roof, a metal roof, siding, barnwood. That one I think we already saw. The boat retaining wall back there. So I feel like we've been making some good progress, and we have had some beautiful weather today, and tomorrow we'll actually be working too to stay on top of things with all this weather. Getting some color in the buildings back there. Lena and Annika are busy painting that. And I will go walk around and show you guys the back side. You can see all the boulders. We have quite a bit. Oh, and the bluestone, it's uncovered. So there will be tile underneath the bluestone. And we will go ahead and walk this way. So this is a view from the patio area on the far side of the pool. And the buildings just look huge. At first, the green building back there, I thought was actually a decent sized building. And then these buildings went up and they just look 10 times bigger. And we have a little Lily following me everywhere I go. Yeah, isn't that right, Lily? You're a good girl. Oh, she loves shadows, so she sees my phone. Lily, look it. See, she's chasing my finger. Oh, she's silly. We actually saw a plane in the air earlier, and the white cloud, smoke, whatever stuff it is in the background of the plane, she actually saw it in the sky, which was just amazing to me. She's a very smart puppy. So this is Annika and Lena painting the trim. Hopefully they're not wearing nice clothes because they're getting covered in paint. Frank talking to the homeowner. This is the back side of the house. Where all the concrete is down here that's not quite carved yet, we will carve into something. I'm sure a bunch of boulder type things and maybe some added features like barrels or nets or ropes or other stuff will be incorporated. This is the barnwood on the side of the building. The girls painted this barnwood earlier today to give it more of a Caribbean feel because there was still paint on the boards, but not quite as much as Al wanted, and it was gonna love the look of barnwood, but we wanted a little more of a Caribbean vibe than the whole Western vibe, so we gave it a little more color, and then I think we're gonna go back over it with like a whitewash to lighten it up a little bit. But this room right here is actually our equipment pad, which we have never had an enclosure this big for an equipment pad. So there will be lots and lots and lots of plumbing in here. Quite a tall building. Oh, else new. Oh, there's the boat over there. It's uncovered this time. I think last time the heat blankets were still on it. But if we go back this way, there's actually a secret room. So if we climb up this ladder, there is a secret room. So the blue building that you guys would have seen in the live before I walked in here, this is like a playroom for kids or something. We will end up cutting out a window right there, and this overlooks the entire pool. So that will be a fun space. Right here where I'm standing and where all these heat blankets are, this is where the slide will be. Yesterday we worked on bulking it up, and we will probably continue. Boulders. This is a look from, I'm standing on top of the Lazy River exit. Actually, entrance. This technically would be the entrance.
We need one more choice. Oh, that's it right there, right?
Frank up there finishing the roof.
Give me a second. Let me get a screw in. All right. Hey guys.
Anything?
Live?
Yeah.
Hi everybody. There ain't gonna happen. Yep. Heads up.
Uh-oh.
Okay, right through the hole.
Trying to toss something. Oh, there it is. Awesome. You can see the water is steaming over there. We have it heating because if you don't heat the water and the temperatures that we have been having, A, it's frozen, B, your hands are freezing. And so to mix, we have you can see the fire underneath of it, and it makes a huge difference. Like when we first got here and made our first mix, the mud or the cement was really cold, and working with it with your hands, it just makes it freezing. And as soon as that water started boiling, oh my gosh, it was 10 times better. And we will end with little Lily. What are you doing, Lily? Lily? She's like, I'm done being on camera. Lily, what are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? So you're on camera. You gonna do anything for us? Huh? Just sniff around. All right, we will see you guys later.